So what did this start with? Daveed Diggs?
Brunch. Hit it, boys.
We're recording, and what do we think? Hamilton.
I couldn't make it past the credits. Just couldn't do it.
Fun fact, you didn't know when we were doing that little joke last week that when we were saying that we would just cut out the music, that it's only music. But the twist there is I also didn't know that. So both of us just had the stupidest conversation in the world, and listeners couldn't tell, is this some weird joke they're doing that they're both in on, which sounds like something they would do, or are they just completely ignorant to this entire big pop culture phenomenon, which also is something we would do. Didn't know there was only music the whole time.
Yeah, me either. And I mean, I like that we've sort of played the long game here, and that when we do have a conversation in which we both sound completely idiotic and just painfully stupid, that people think that it's a joke. That's
right. We can't lose.
Right. Yeah.
We can't lose. We're the original. It was a prank, bro. Except we'll just say it was a podcast. What do we know? We're just a podcast. If we knew if this were intelligent, this would be radio. Jeez. Come on. I did watch Hamilton, and I've seen a lot of people who hadn't seen Hamilton, had never listened to the soundtrack, tweet out like, "Oh, shocker. Saw Hamilton. It wasn't that good. And you all were just being super horny for no reason because you just wanted to fit in." And I'm like, all right, so maybe you genuinely didn't like it, but you suck for all this stuff you're saying. And I'll say I watched it, and I only listened to the soundtrack a couple of times. I didn't get crazy into the soundtrack like everybody else because it felt weird, like reading it felt like reading like the bibliography without actually reading the report, you know? It's weird to just like only listen to a soundtrack and not see a play, although I've learned that like with Dear Evan Hansen and shit like that, people will just listen to the soundtrack without seeing the movie or the play. They'll just listen to it a million times, and then when they go see the play, they're so happy because they're hearing the songs in context. And honestly, even just hearing the songs a few times before watching the quote-unquote play, I was so into it. I was like waiting for them to talk about their shot. They sing a lot about whether or not they're going to throw away their shot. They're not intent on throwing away their shot. And I thought it was terrific. Biggest takeaway, though, this is going to be up your alley. I kind of sat back on this because I saw people tweeting like, I'd never seen Hamilton before, but oh my goodness, Leslie Odom Jr., yum, yum, yum. I'm like, please, listen to any of the Hot Guys versus Weatherman pod. We didn't even know who Leslie Odom Jr., what he did. We just knew he was hot. So we were in on him. But my big takeaway, oh my goodness, Pete, Daveed Diggs.
Yep.
Holy shit. Like, I thought that I could not be more impressed with him. And then I realized I didn't really understand his story. I was like, wow, so this guy does Hamilton. They put him in Blind Spotting, and he's just like, he is on his way. And I said this at a family thing, and my sister was like, that's absolutely not what happened. They cast him in Hamilton because he was a musician, not a Broadway actor. I was like, they put some guy who wasn't even a Broadway actor in like a prominent role on Broadway when like Lin-Manuel Miranda was like hot shit. So people were going to be excited for this. And he just took some random ass musician, dropped him into it, and he ended up being great. She was like, you idiot. No, he was a rapper, and it would be unreasonable to expect Broadway actors to be good rappers. Right. So they cast a rapper to do, and she explained it like 100 million times, but either way, my mind remains blown that this guy's a musician, and they're like, yo, you want to do this play? And maybe he was trying to be an actor too. I don't know. I should really check this guy.
Why would that even blow your mind in the first place? You know how many like random people who do other things they just put in movies because they do other things? Like Action Bronson is not a trained actor.
Oh boy, is he not. And he's in everything.
Right. So they throw him in shit all willy-nilly. That happens all the time in movies and TV.
But it's different to me. It's because it's not a cameo. Like you go
Right.
watch Hamilton and you'll be like, yo, I don't give a fuck about Lin-Manuel Miranda. Leslie Odom Jr. wouldn't kick him out of bed, but I am here for Daveed Diggs.
I don't need to watch Hamilton to not give a fuck about Lin-Manuel Miranda. No offense.
Did people try canceling him?
I don't know. I just don't. He rubs me the wrong way. I don't know if it's because like my biggest exposure to Lin-Manuel Miranda was Curb Your Enthusiasm, and he was just the worst fucking guy in that show. But also like he has the weirdest Twitter account. He just like everything that I've been exposed to Lin-Manuel Miranda is just super fucking weird and not up my alley.
I loved Lin-Manuel Miranda in Curb, and I really do not care about him, but I loved him in Curb because I'm a little bit like this, but he was this to an extreme. He's like that good collaborator who is still kind of a pain in the ass as a collaborator, you know?
Yeah.
He has all these ideas and he's super excited about them. And then like Larry David's like, oh, I was thinking we could do this. And he's like, that's very cool that you were thinking that. So, and then he just like kind of moves on with his own idea. And I think that there are those types of, I don't know whether you want to like to call them type A, when you call them alphas, whatever, but like that are still a bit of a shit. And that's what he comes off as in Curb Your Enthusiasm. So I did not like that season of Curb Your Enthusiasm. My favorite thing about it, I think, might have been how big of a shit Lin-Manuel Miranda was. Now, the reason I didn't like other parts of that season was because, you know, they made fun of PTSD and not in like a oh, you can make jokes about anything, it's just a joke. Like there wasn't much of a joke to it. Do you remember that storyline? Yeah,
with the guy who was dating somebody.
Yeah, he was marrying why can't I think of her name? Jeff's little angel who
oh god.
Who Larry is horrible to. One of the great episodes, she keeps singing Frankie Valli. Remember? She sings Frankie Valli at the party. She's singing Can't Take My Eyes Off You, and he cuts her off early.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, great job. Okay, all done. And then he's staying over there because someone's out to get him, and she's singing in the morning. And he's like,
shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh, that's an iconic scene for sure.
Because it comes with a top Susie moment. You hear, Mommy, Larry told me to shut the fuck up. And then I can't even replicate this. He did what? She comes in and just starts if memory serves, she just starts like kicking his ass. You have hurt that little girl. What's her name? It's not Susie. Is it Maddie?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I'm bad with names.
Don't remember faces, can't remember names. That's what Billy Joel said in his hit, The Entertainer. But I'll tell you, man, check out, you'd have to get into music, but check out Hamilton. And I would recommend listening to the soundtrack about 3,000 times before you watch it, because it is a little tough to follow the actual storyline when you're just like, wow, Daveed Diggs is rapping with a French accent. God, he's so great. I'm just so into Daveed Diggs. I'm just smitten by him the whole time. What is there to not like about that guy?
I have no idea. I mean, Blindspotting was one of my favorite movies of whatever year it came out. I think it was like 2018 or something. That was so under the radar. And I mean, just an incredible movie.
So my sister I was like, wait, no, this can't be, because he's a movie actor. He was in Blindspotting. And she was like, all right, I haven't seen Blindspotting, but that movie was made by his like rap group or whatever. She was like, was there any rap in it? And I was like, oh yeah, he raps the whole time. She's like, yeah, you fucking idiot.
Both of those guys are rappers in Blindspotting.
So the other guy, the guy that's super duper Oakland.
Yes, yeah. Both those guys are rappers.
Man, that guy, I know it's set in Oakland, but like he has some real old school South Boston energy to him. Like the
Yeah.
this isn't exactly what I thought it would always be. I'm gonna go kick this guy's ass. That character, man, and the gun. If you guys haven't seen Blind Spotting, I think I rewatched that during quarantine.
I've rewatched that movie so many times, and it's so good and very relevant these days.
Yeah, I love Daveed Diggs's everything he's doing in Hamilton, but also we've talked about great speaking voices.
Yeah,
I forget who we threw on that list. It was like John Mayer was on there, Ham. I think it's really like a John thing, but I would say
Bon Iver, Justin Vernon has an unbelievable.
Oh my
speaking
God!
voice.
Yeah.
Unbelievable speaking voice.
Pipes.
We found that out pretty recently, or at least I found that out pretty recently. I've had a huge Bon Iver fucking phase during quarantine. Like I've just become like completely obsessed.
I need to get more into
like going back when you asked me if I wanted to go to that Bon Iver show at the Garden.
Yeah.
And the tickets were like $120 or something, and I was like, I mean, I like Bon Iver, but I'm not gonna drop that kind of cash at this point in time. I would fucking no hesitation drop that much money.
Yeah,
to go see.
that I've got to get more into Bon Iver. I've seen him at like festivals and just kind of stood by nearby stages and been like, "This is cool," and everybody's really into it. I liked I think his most recent album, I, and his interview on Time Crisis just made him seem like such a cool dude. And honestly, that's what like Time Crisis got me more into Vampire Weekend. Like they came out with, they had one album that I already liked quite a bit. Then they came out with Father of the Bride that I loved. And then I started following Ezra on Twitter and I saw that he had a radio show with Seinfeld 2000. And I was like, I've got to check this out. And honestly, like listening to that and hearing what a cool and like good dude Ezra Koenig is made me like Vampire Weekend more. It made me listen to more of their music. Similarly, I listened to Bon Iver on Time Crisis and I was like, you're correct. What pipes?
Yeah.
Really
and
cool
it's like,
pipes.
Like the deepest speaking voice ever, which is hilarious considering the way that he sings.
Yeah, and he's something that I have a soft spot in my heart for. He was a jock in high school that was just like really into art and stuff. Actually, like very horribly had a dear family friend die recently, and he was the captain of the hockey team, but he was also in like all of the chorus, like all the different choirs. Cause he just like was, he was the ultimate, like if I think something's cool, I'm going to do it thing. And he was just like super nice to everybody. And I remember thinking like, I'm like, wow, what a rare breed. Like, especially now.
It's called being ahead of your time.
It is like, I said this to somebody at the wake and like, we were like crying like crazy. I was like, we live in a time now where like, there's like a lot of pressure, which is good. There's a lot of pressure to be like a good, understanding, caring person. And if you're not that all the time, everyone's like, yo, you're the worst. And I think the assumption or the charade that like you've always been the most caring and the most considerate and the most like learned person, that kind of takes away from the people who like legitimately always were like that. So that's a roundabout thing to say. Very sad that we lost this fella, but he was that type that was like, yeah, I'm the captain of the hockey team. Also, I think that like harmony is really cool, and if I can get in on some people singing some fun tunes, I'm going to do that. And Justin Vernon seems like that type, and he's old enough, and my friend was old enough that like that wasn't commonplace. It might be commonplace now, which is like really cool. You remember like Chris Martin got a lot of flack for saying that he was into theater and music when he was a kid, and like people if I'm remembering this wrong, I apologize, but I think he said he was into theater and music when he was a kid, so people called him gay, and he like wasn't sure. He was like, I think I'm straight, but am I gay? And maybe he said this differently, but he caught flack for saying that.
So it's similarly to what you just said.
Okay, and honestly, from my experience growing up, like I don't doubt that for a second.
No, definitely not. That shit happens that happened all the time when I was growing up.
Right. Where
like it's not a good thing, but like it happened for sure. I mean, we talk about it all the time. In one of the biggest TV shows of the time, of the era, Friends,
yeah.
Joey does ballroom dancing, comes back, and Monica goes, "Hey, how's dancing? Gay yet?"
Right. And that there's a laugh track. And I always focus on that. I always focus on the laugh track and things like that. Like, not to get too into the weeds, but if I don't know whether if it's like Jimmy Kimmel stuff or like he did this on the Man Show, like believe me, I always thought the Man Show was the stupidest thing in the world, but I don't think the whole story is Jimmy Kimmel did this on the Man Show. I think the story is Jimmy Kimmel did this on the Man Show. It aired and it got this rating because people enjoyed it, which is a horrible reflection of the times, but it's an accurate reflection of the times. So shout out, like a shout out that fortunately we've all gotten better. Big shout out to the Gillette commercial. I still cannot believe that anybody took issue with that Gillette commercial. That Gillette commercial, maybe, like, I don't think it bit off more than it could chew. It was really swinging for the fences. It was like, you know what? There's a lot of stupid shit that, like, has just existed, and it's probably going to continue to exist because that's what we do. We just get used to doing shit, and we don't ask why are people like this or why isn't this fair? Gillette was like, hey, if you can control it, which you can, don't be a dick to people. Do you think that...
I do think it's funny that, like, I'm pretty confident. I'm like 85% confident at this point that if anybody asked you on your deathbed, like, what the turning point in society was, you'd be like, that Gillette commercial from 2018.
The Gillette commercial does not get enough love because, honestly, we had this podcast where we were meandering, like, around trying to... we probably still had stenches of yesteryear on us, but we always thought, like, I think, like, from the beginning of this podcast, we were like, don't, like, bro-y stuff wasn't our thing, and it's kind of never been. I
think that's like what the entire basis of this podcast was, like, founded upon, was like, you don't be scared to like fruity drinks. Don't be scared to say that a guy is handsome. Don't be afraid to, like, do all these things that are, like, considered
that's
like toxic masculinity or whatever.
Yeah. And honestly, and I got mad. I got mad at our pal Ryan Lambert because he tweeted, "I made fun of Nathan for you," and or we made fun of Nathan for you on the podcast, and he said he tweeted something like, "Oh well, they need something to do other than pretending they're gay," and I was very offended by that because I was like, we're doing what we do and being ourselves and embracing, like, maybe some what were once non-traditional, like, behaviors for straight males, only to say, like, this is what we are and this is normal. So, like, if you're, I don't know, I thought this way when I watched Scrubs. I think Scrubs overdid it, but, like, JD was a very, like, quote unquote effeminate character, and everyone would make fun of him for it. But I was like, yo, excuse me, he's not really a cartoon, because I walk around, like, singing to myself all day, and I
cares about his hair, like,
right?
Doesn't proudly wear wrinkles in his clothes.
Like, that was a big turning point for us. Yeah. The iron discussion.
Yeah.
And we mocking the old, does that thing come in men's stuff? And again, we're both still men, and we're both still stupid, so that makes us stupid men. So we're not, I don't know, it sounds like suddenly I've accidentally taken us into a, like, we're holier than thou type of thing. But I really do think that Gillette commercial kind of like went for the same stuff that we try to go for, which is being a dude doesn't
guys,
mean
you don't have to be the worst.
Tough asshole to everybody, you know? So,
yeah, you
and
don't
honestly,
have to be a fucking asshole.
And whenever I believe me, I'm an asshole a million different ways, and I feel bad when I am, but I don't think I'm an asshole in that sort of quote unquote toxic masculinity way. So, what did this start with? David Diggs?
So yeah, we're talking about great speaking voices. Just
great speaking voices.
Just a classic brunch falling down the hole and tumbling until we end up in some place that we never thought we'd get to.
No, that was two great speaking voices speaking about how great they each are.
Right.
I really hope that didn't come off as virtue signaling or whatever. I just once we get to the Gillette commercial, once that comes up, we feel some kind of way. The Gillette commercial is our song.
It's our anthem.
We should do some sort of meme of that, like when the Gillette commercial comes on in the club and it's like time dancing.
Hell yes. Yeah, I know. There's been like a lot of anthem talk recently, where like people are like the one true anthem and things like that. When we should jump in on that meme and be like, yo, the one true anthem, and have it be a screenshot of the YouTube video of the Gillette commercial.
Yeah. What if like we rewatch that Gillette commercial and find that there's actually like a lot wrong with it?
It just doesn't age well.
Yeah, we watch it, we're like, oh my God, it's all white people. What the fuck, Gillette?
Maybe that can be an episode of What's Cooking.
What's Cooking? Rewatch the Gillette commercial. You know, it'd be tight if we do, at some point, we're going to do live shows at some local breweries once we can do that. Fortunately, it seems like these breweries are doing well and surviving, but we said at the beginning to a couple of breweries that we would go and do a show there and give all the ticket sales to the brewery because we fuck with those breweries. But like a nice thing, like at the beginning, instead of like how maybe one would play the national anthem, maybe we could play the Gillette commercial.
Hell yes. Big fan of that. Big fan of that.
We should make t-shirts that say, it's like the Gillette logo, but it just says like the Gillette commercial.
You should say,
I'm a fan.
T-shirts that say, or bumper stickers that say, my other car is the Gillette commercial.
My other ass. Yeah. We haven't gone into the bumper sticker game as much as we could.
No, people have asked. People have been like, yo, can we get some stickers? Because I think people like stickers for like their laptops and things like that.
Yeah, I like that. We should make some stickers. Also, we have gotten a few. Hey, man, hearing your talk about shorts, would definitely buy some brunch shorts. We just can't really make them.
Yeah, I got an update on merch this week from Ryan. We can't put anything new into the merch store until like mid-August because of coronavirus.
Ooh.
Like their production has like really, really slowed down, and the whatever it's called, the fulfillment thing that we go through is just not taking any new products.
It is going slow. We have some people very kindly who have bought merch during these uncertain times, and it's taken quite long for them to ship, but I think some of them have begun to ship. So shout out you guys. I'm still perusing some merch on the old interwebs. I'm very close to pulling the trigger on a 1994 Vince Gill shirt. You watch that Eagles? You watch that Eagles concert on ESPN?
No. Did you think that I was going to do that?
I think it's so funny that with like a lack of sports, ESPN's like, what can we show? We got nothing to show. We could show The Last Dance a billionth time, or we could show another 30 for 30. I don't know, like a very old, like meaning like elderly, not like years ago, like a current.
Wait, that was like a current concert?
That was from 2018. Yes, I went to that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't live. I thought you meant it was like live.
No. The Eagles did the Eagles made like a concert video of their past tour where Glenn Fry is obviously dead, but they replaced him with Deacon Fry, Glenn Fry's son, and then brought on Vince Gill to just beef up the lineup. So there was like 600 dudes on stage just playing guitar, you probably would have liked it. It sounds like is it Diarrhea Planet that does that?
Yeah.
There's like nothing but guitars everywhere.
Yep. I actually wrote about Diary Planet in today's newsletter.
Nice.
For CBS Sports. Somebody asked me in the mailbag what was the greatest concert that I've ever gone to on a whim. And my buddy Jim Lyons, the old famous Jim. He was the one who got me into Diarrhea Planet. He just had an extra ticket one day and was like, "Hey, you want to come?" And I mean, I'd heard about Diarrhea Planet and how good they were live. I wasn't totally like exposed to them, but I mean, there's a certain intrigue and interest in going to check out the music of a band that calls itself Diarrhea Planet. So I went. I mean, they played with Jeff the Brotherhood in that show. It was fucking unbelievable.
Where was that?
At the Sinclair.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty strong bill. I'm surprised that they would. I would think that maybe that would be more of like a Paradise type thing.
No, I mean it was. I wouldn't say that it was like totally packed, but it was a good crowd. And it was sort of like a 1A and 1B situation. Like Diarrhea Planet got a good, healthy amount of time as the opener, and then Jeff the Brotherhood crushed afterwards too.
Okay, so that makes sense. All right, so they were opening. I can't think of the last concert I really went to on a. I mean, there was it could be Pearl Jam. That was a day of tweet to the world, someone give me Pearl Jam tickets, and then went with Brian, and that was a really good time. Best part of that though, going to the bathroom, everybody just yelling out Eddie Vedder impressions.
That's awesome.
I was pretty buzzed. I was taking a whiz, and I was like, I'm gonna take this for a spin. No, call me Dadera, and like everybody started singing back, and then like before long, we were doing like James Hetfield impressions. So like a bunch of dudes, like imagine waiting to go into the bathroom, a bunch of dudes walking out. They're like, yeah. It was great.
Did I ever tell you that I hung out with Eddie Vedder for like a good 10 minutes on walking to a Red Sox game once?
So you told me you were like stride for stride with him one day, right?
Yeah, and I like struck up a conversation. He was just the nicest dude in the world, and nobody recognized him except for me.
That's so weird. How do you not recognize Eddie Vedder?
I don't know. It was crazy. Like I was just walking right next to him, and I was like waiting for somebody to say something and to like break the ice, because I didn't want to be the guy to be like, "Hey, Eddie," and nobody was saying anything. And I was like, "Well, I'm not going to walk like 2 blocks to Fenway along right next to Eddie Vedder and not say anything." So I said hi, and his bodyguard like clearly looked back, being like, "Do I have to do something here?" Noticed that I was like 5 feet tall and the most unthreatening person of all time, and we just had a conversation for like 2 blocks, and it was fucking. He was the nicest guy.
He saw that you were with me, and he was like, "Wait, is this guy with you?" And you were like, "Yeah," and he was like, "All right, they're safe." Could be if he was like a lone ranger, lone wolf or something, but they're these 2 extremely weak people. You're not weak. How are you physically?
Right weaker than I've ever been in the past, like since high school, probably. The arms are very thin.
Can you still? There was like a while I couldn't flex both biceps.
I mean,
that was like 5 years ago.
Not doing much these days.
Yeah, I'm.
Speaking of concerts that we went to on a whim. Well, we didn't go to this one on a whim, but I've been thinking a lot lately about that Church's show from like what, 2016 maybe? 2016, 2017 at the House of Blues.
Oh, I think it was 2006. It was the year we went to Lollapalooza.
What was the year that the Penguins played the Sharks in the Stanley Cup final? Because that was on TV.
Oh, good call. 2000.
That would have been 2007.
I think it's.
No, that would have been 2000. I don't know, one of those years.
Yeah, 16 or 17.
Yeah. So I was thinking about that lately, just because I think that's like.
I think it was 16.
One of the best shows. Because who did the Penguins beat? Did the Penguins beat somebody else the next year?
Penguins. It was Sharks the first year, and Knights. Capitals beat the Knights. Who did? Who was in the Western?
I don't know. It's driving me crazy now. I got to find it out.
Penguins beat the.
So 2016 was the Sharks. 2017 was the Predators. That's right.
Oh my God. I completely forgot about that, which is weird. Yeah. I shouldn't have forgotten that because people were so excited that the Predators were in the final.
Yeah, that run was incredible. No, I was thinking about the Churches show because I honestly think that's like one of the best shows that I've been to of like the past 10 years.
That was a great. It was
so much fun
because it's always a big part of great shows is when everyone is excited about that band. Like I saw Lake Street Dive right after their second album came out, and like their second album was like a few days old. Everyone had listened to it a million times. They came out with all this energy and they just fucking rocked the house. Alex Cameron at Sinclair he'd recently put out an album. Everyone was really into it. And that was like the most electric I've ever seen Sinclair. So I think a lot of it is the excitement for the band. And they had put out
They just released Every Open Eye.
Every Open Eye, yeah. They just put that out, and everyone was into it. And like I was hoping they would play High Enough to Carry You Over, and they did. It was such
that list was unbelievable, and you are right. That was at the height of Church's popularity because Every Open Eye, people started to realize they were like, this band is unbelievable, and everybody was very excited to be there. It was like a summer night. It was like great weather. I'm sure people had been pre-gaming or something. And I believe it was a weekend. I think it was like a Friday night.
It was a Saturday because the Friday was either
the draft lottery or something. No, it was something because somebody just came in from Buffalo. Brian.
I came from Buffalo. Oh, wait, it was 2016. And get this, I had just come back from Buffalo because the Bruins had just been busy trading Dougie Hamilton for first and 2 seconds and then picking 3 times in a row and taking junk. I think that I got back, man, I'm forgetting. There was also, I think it was my birthday also, because before the game I went to, or before the concert, my friend had her company's Red Sox tickets. So we did like a Red Sox day game, got pretty buzzed. Then we all met up before the show at Yard House, which I'll tell you, in its infancy, I was a big Yard House guy.
I'm still in on Yard House. Yard House is one of the better spots in the Fenway area.
Yeah, and you know where we wound up after the show?
Yard House, baby.
We went back to the Yard House. We were standing outside. We were all quite drunk. Yes. I saw a Bruins coach was there, and like we made eye contact, and I was like, "This isn't going to be good." So I walked over to him, and he a really, really awesome guy. So we just like chatted for a little bit. Then I like caught myself kind of talking shop. I was like, "How do you think Carlo is? What do you think of Carlo? Is he like a good skater?" I'm going to leave. Okay.
That's awesome.
But he was so nice.
I crushed a plate of nachos to myself while watching the Stanley Cup final game that was on TV. But my buddy, Lee, he had like never even heard of Churches before that night. And he was just looking for something to do. I think I had an extra ticket. Oh, no, he bought an extra ticket. He found it on like the secondary market, just got it that night. And just decided to come. I think he had just recently broken up with his girlfriend and was like in that stage where he's just like trying to get out of the house, trying to do some stuff, stay busy. And he came and he was like, dude, that show is unbelievable. And now he fucking loves Churches.
And now I'm remembering this. I got back before Brian from Buffalo.
Brian got back that day.
Brian, if memory serves, like went right to the concert because we were already in the concert. We were already kind of banged up. And then he walked in and like in the middle of that's a great feeling when like you're already doing something and someone is coming from wherever and it's like, hey, and everyone's all psyched.
Guess what, Deej? There's no shortage of action going on at our exclusive partner, BetOnline. Sports are slowly making its way back with the UFC, NASCAR, soccer leading the way. BetOnline has all the best odds and lines for the upcoming matches this weekend. If you need more, BetOnline has simulated NFL, NBA, and UFC happening every day live for you to check out. If you need something else other than sports, maybe you're not a sports guy or gal, BetOnline also has hundreds of live casino games. They got poker tournaments and all the best props in the business. So visit betonline.ag or use your mobile device and join now to receive your new welcome bonus and start playing today. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts at betonline.ag.
You know what? I'll give you another example, too, of seeing a band at the height of their popularity. Terminal 5, New York. This must have been 20... I don't know when would it have been 2013? Fun.
Oh, you love being like fun.
It was,
Remember,
dude.
you're like being the hey, remember Fun guy?
I will be, because Fun put out 2 excellent albums, and then
Disappeared.
one of them was like, hey, I'm too good for you guys, and then one of them was like, whatever, I'm gonna try to be a music producer, and ruined the world. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I sure do. Jack Antonoff.
That would be one. Jack Antonoff. I made a pretty good Jack Antonoff joke the other day. I forget what it was. Someone said it was some sports thing. They were saying that somebody was like homogenizing either contracts or doing whatever. So I said they're the Jack Antonoff of sports. I think like you
three retweets.
I honestly, like, I think like 0 RT. You and Feidelberg liked it. Like the only people that would get that joke, and then moved on. On the subject of music, a lot of good music out. And I'll tell you what, it takes some really good music to distract me from a Father John Misty covers EP. I have only listened to the Father John Misty covers EP once, because I am listening to the Greenhouse tapes by Houndmouth like crazy. It's so good. Have you been listening?
I sure have, and they are very, very good.
I love it so much. I want to nerd out about like certain aspects of it. I'll spare you the details, but there's a harmony on Locomotive Midnight that is so cool. I wanted to hit up Matt and be like, yo, that thing on Locomotive Midnight you do, I see you. I refrained, instead just said, EP's great. Well done, fellas. Immediately got back a video of him and Shane in a car doing some hang loose signs. It's like a 2-second thing. We got to get those bozos, especially Zach, on soon.
Yeah, because Zach doesn't like us or like doesn't acknowledge our existence.
Right. We should be like, hey,
hey, what the fuck is this guy's deal?
We should reach out to Matt and Shane and be like, hey, loving the Houndmouth EP. Thinking it's time we get some Houndmouth representation on the old podcast. Would you mind putting us in touch with Zach?
I'd love that move. I would also love just like staging an intervention with Zach and just having all 4 of us in the room.
Why don't you goof off with us?
Yeah, exactly. But, hey, what the fuck, man? This has been going on for far too long. Why aren't you being silly with us?
We're all pretty like-minded here. Just right. A bunch of well-intentioned goofballs. And you, I mean, he, especially for some, now it's going to sound like we're like picking on him. Huge fan. Love him on the song Southside. He's one of the few people whose like resting face is a great big smile.
Yeah.
What a guy.
He's just got a very interesting look. He's just one of those people that like you can't look away from because he's just got like he doesn't look like anybody else, I feel like.
Yeah. He's got a great singing voice. I love all their voices. I'm so glad that those guys are all in a band together. I love when it doesn't really happen anymore. When there's a band of like multiple good singers, they switch off taking songs, basically like what the Eagles were supposed to be before like it became the Don Henley show.
And they arguably lost their best singer.
Yeah.
Like that, they arguably lost their best vocalist, and they're still an unbelievable band with 3 great vocalists.
Yeah, but it's truly a group of stars, but not only stars, really chill ass dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And
as you know on this podcast, like not big into dudes,
right?
But we like these dudes.
Yeah, well, we like dudes. We like guys. We just don't. like, be like, fellas, is it just bros that we mainly don't like? But I'd like to, I've said this before, I'd like to take back bro. It's like when I tell you I want you to still wear like basketball jerseys and stuff, because I want that look to be associated with a nice guy named Pete instead of like a frat guy who's going to throw a beer at your face. Do frat guys throw beers at each other's faces?
I don't know. I don't hang out with frat guys to know well enough. It seems like something they do, though.
Sounds like we need to start hanging. We need to go undercover, hang out with some frat guys.
I think that bro is beyond saving, though.
Yeah,
I think we're too late on that.
I mean, Bernie. I still don't totally know what Bernie bro means, but I think it was used.
It was like an insult,
right? It was used to mean like you like Bernie,
derogatory.
Therefore, you're like an asshole. I've said this a few times recently because we've been talking about the old politics because there's an election coming up. It blows my mind. And you and I were on the same page. We didn't necessarily see this coming, but we both liked Bernie and Warren a good amount. We each had our preference. I think we had the same preference. We might have been a couple of Bernie bros. Mm-hmm. And I was so happy and prepared to have either one of them as president. I was like, I would really love for Bernie to win, but if it's Warren, then hell yeah. We got a good president. We got a cable president. We got an adult in the room. Hell yes. And then Bernie people were so mean to Warren people. Warren people were threw out some accusations about if you don't like Warren that I found offensive as a Warren supporter. And so of course we just both ate each other alive. And then the Democratic Party was like, okay, well, we definitely don't want it to be Bernie. So while Warren's losing, let's just everybody support Biden. And here we go. And now as we look at this race, and no offense to anybody who is a Biden supporter, I'm by default a Biden supporter. No offense to anyone who like wanted Biden the whole way. It's like, this is what we're left with. There were some really good options. Also, this was a roundabout way of me bragging. Guess who followed me on Twitter the other day?
Elizabeth Warren.
Andrew Yang.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I'll tell you, nice. I like that guy.
What? You part of the Yang gang now?
I want to be friends. I thought the whole time during debates and everything, I was like, I would not vote for this guy. His experience is probably lacking, but
I mean, that hasn't stopped anybody else before.
Exactly. But I was like, I like his message, and I think that this is clearly an upstanding citizen, and I'm for upstanding citizens. So I don't know, maybe we'll develop a Twitter friendship, and next election, I'm going to be like, yo, I hate to be biased, but I'm going with my friend Andrew Yang.
Like, you go for the VP seat, man. Don't stop there.
Wouldn't be bad. What
do you think about Kanye?
Yeah, I was like, we've talked politics long enough without talking about Kanye. I mean, it's insane, but no more insane than anything else we've seen. I just really need him to not do it.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to do it.
Right.
I mean, there's just no way that he's actually going to. He hasn't filed any of the paperwork from what I've seen. It's like, I mean, I border between like worried and just really sad that Kanye is what he is right now.
It would
it is for sure worrisome, like his behavior.
Oh, yeah, of course. And I mean, obviously, like clinically, he is not well, but that would be extremely harmful. It goes without saying, he wouldn't take away votes from Trump. He would take away votes from Biden. And although, as I say that, would he necessarily, like, I'd have to read up on this. I mean, I think that mostly I just associate what I just said with the fact that that Biden in all the primaries was doing very well among black voters, and like Kanye could potentially take away like young black voters, but also couldn't people who are like, yo, I just want chaos and want to fuck shit up, those people vote for Trump. So wouldn't they be like, yo, Kanye's an even bigger unknown, I'm going to vote for him? I don't know. I just hate it. It just makes me so sad and freaks me the fuck out. But what else? What doesn't freak you out these days?
I mean, not a whole lot, to be honest with you. I'm pretty mentally exhausted.
Same.
At this point in time.
Same.
Mentally and physically. Like I just am. It's weird because we talked about like how like our well-being and we're like at the beginning, and like I feel like we're kind of out of the like the quarantine stage. Like you can go do things. Like the weather is nice. You obviously still have to like social distance and stuff, but like the options have opened up. And I don't know, right now I feel like I'm not in like a great place.
Yeah. I am taking a couple of days off at the end of this week, which I need. And I don't know if I'm going to go somewhere. I need to do something where I just go away and am by myself for a little bit. Hopefully it's somewhere where maybe there can be water, a lake, a beach, something. But I just very badly need to turn my brain off from a lot of things. Like I am like rewriting what I thought was a pretty finished book on my anxiety. And like, honestly, like things are popping up and just like, it's different, man. Like I just feel burnt out from a lot of things. And I'm like, if I don't just like hit pause on everything, then it'll probably only get worse. And I don't want it to keep getting worse. So I'm just going to I'm going to step away for a little bit.
Yeah. I have a trip to Portland planned for this weekend, and that was almost canceled because we had an Airbnb and we had like double checked to see if the Airbnb was going to be okay for us to use, obviously with all the shit that's going on. And the host was like, yeah, don't worry about it. You'll be able to come. No worries. And then like a week before, like last week, the host was like, yeah, no, we're not renting it out due to COVID. And like, I just been looking forward to doing this and just going somewhere and kind of just like detaching myself for a few days. And I absolutely need it. So I was fucking like devastated. I was gonna lose my mind. We ended up getting a secondary place. But like, I just feel like there's been so many things that have stacked up over the past couple of months that like haven't been great for my mental well-being. And then there's impending stress coming in the months ahead. And like, I don't know, it just feels like I'm kind of on like a tightrope at this point.
That's a good way of putting what I was trying to articulate. I have stuff in the future I'm worried about, and I have stuff in the present I'm worried about.
Day to day, like the day to day, every day is like, oh my, like what is going to set you off?
Right. And I saw a video. Feidelberg was talking about this. He just like put it very like simply, and it's not exactly what I'm dealing with. Something I've definitely had before, but just like the feeling of, he said like, I'm just like sick of being sad or something. Like I just like needed to stop for like 1 second. And I'm kind of that way with just being anxious and being stressed. And I would very much like any sort of little break from that. Mm-hmm. Just like if I could just like reset the old brain and the batteries a teeny bit. And it's weird. Like when I asked my boss for a couple of days off, which I have tons of vacation I can take, I just don't usually take it. I felt bad asking for it because I'm like, we're working. I feel like I'm working so little. I'd love to be doing more, but like there's only so much we can do with these circumstances. So I'm like, it feels ridiculous for me to ask to take time off, but I need to be doing nothing.
I mean, I feel the same way too. And it's also a sort of a case like well, like, what the hell are you going to do with this vacation time? Like, what are you going to go out and go on you're going to go on vacation? You're going to go places? Probably not. But I think that for me, at least, there's also like, I know the next couple of months are going to be, if everything goes to plan, the next couple of months are going to be really fucking hectic. And I'm going to seriously regret not taking some time right now.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I realized early this week, I texted one of my friends. I was like, oh my God, why didn't I take this week off? This would have been a perfect time to take a week off. And then I started thinking, I'm like, oh, now soccer is coming back. I'm going to want to be around for that. I'm sorry. Major League Soccer is coming back. I'm going to want to be around for that.
Dodged a bullet.
And then basketball is going to be around. Like, if I don't take time off now, what am I going to do? And I was kind of freaked out about it. And my boss rules, and you just like looked at the calendar, and he was like, hey, you could take a couple days at the end of this week. And I like could have kissed the email. I was like, oh my God, dude, you are saving my life. So I can't imagine we're the only ones.
Yeah, I hope if you're listening, I hope that you're doing okay. And hopefully our discussion on this hasn't made you feel any worse about the outcome or the outlook of your own situation.
Yeah, you know it's also crazy?
What?
We're a couple weeks away from
Beach Road weekend, baby.
Beach Road weekend.